Alright everyone, so Borto chapter 69 has officially been released, and I am here to give you guys my thoughts on everything that happened in this chapter and what it could mean for the series moving forward, especially when it comes to certain characters. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what's going on inside of Amado's lab, because as we know from Borto chapter 68, or at least the ending, Ada is now inside of Konoha thanks to Code's claw marks, and Amado is just absolutely terrified. He could not believe that Ada is here. He genuinely thought that she was dead, and he is just freaking out. Like, he cannot believe that she is here, and Shikamaru even notices how afraid Amado is. And when Delta goes in for the attack, her attack of course doesn't work, which we know why. It's because of Ada's ability, and she's already caught up in it. And Shikamaru is confused as to why Delta's attack didn't work. He asks Ino to create a link between his mind and Amado, and he asks him who the hell is this person, and he tells him that this is Ada, and she has this ability to capture the hearts of everyone around her, and no matter what anyone does, they can't fight against it. And Shikamaru of course is a little frustrated, but we see that Shikamaru actually manages to put Ada under shadow paralysis, and Ada of course is a little shocked by this. She couldn't believe it, and she reveals, oh, because the ability wasn't meant to cause harm to her, it actually worked. So that could be a possible weakness to Ada's ability. So as long as the ability isn't meant to cause harm, it actually will connect, as opposed to Delta's ability, which was actually meant to hurt her. That's why it didn't work. And something else that's revealed by Amado is that the more you try to convince your body to attack Ada, it's not going to work, because your body's instincts are going to fight against it. And the more you try, the more damage you're going to do to your mind. So he urges Shikamaru not to even try to fight against it. And as he's trying, his focus on the shadow paralysis is broken, and that's when Ada starts moving closer and closer to him. And he also reveals that the closer she gets, the more confused he gets. So it's possible that her ability also works thanks to distance. So the further you are away from her, the less power she has over you. So I thought that was very interesting. And once the shadow paralysis is removed, Code immediately goes up against Amado, holds him up by his hand, and then digs one of his claws into Amado's shoulder. And he even tells him, so okay, basically picking up right where we left off before we were interrupted, go ahead and remove the limiters. And Shikamaru remembers what Amado told him, that unlike you guys, I can't stand up to torture. If I'm tortured for even a little bit, I will basically break, and I'll tell them everything. And that's when he asks Ada, like, he asks her, excuse me, why is she here? And she tells him, I'm here because, well, I like Kawaki. And Shikamaru has that like confused meme face that we're used to seeing in Naruto. And Shikamaru now has a new plan. He asks her, well, if that's the case, then why don't you just come over to Konoha? Because that way both of us can benefit from that relationship. You won't be a threat to us, and you'll have access to Kawaki. And that's where the chapter ends, so we don't know what Ada's answer is. So if you're one of the people who thought that maybe Ada would betray Code, there is a chance that could happen in chapter 70. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. Alright, next thing that I want to talk about is a conversation that happened between Sarada and Mitsuki. And I thought this is very interesting because, well, first of all, we actually get to see them in the manga, because we don't get to see them a lot. So it's nice that they're getting some time in the spotlight, or at least they're given some screen time. And the conversation between them is basically just about how they've both been feeling kind of useless, and everything that's been happening lately, they haven't really been able to help in any way, shape, or form. And Mitsuki even asked the question of, Boruto nearly died if it wasn't for Kawaki. And I can't imagine what I would do to a person who actually did manage to kill him. And keep that line in mind, because I'm going to bring it up a little bit later in the review. And Sarada even says that, yeah, it sucks that I haven't been able to help him lately. I've been basically feeling kind of useless. And Mitsuki says that, we have to get stronger. If we're going to face up against an Otsutsuki, then we definitely need to get stronger. And Sarada agrees. and says that otherwise I'm not going to be fit to be Hokage. So the next thing that I want to talk about, and this is where that line from Mitsuki comes in, which is the conversation between Naruto and Kawaki in the hospital room. So Kawaki wakes up, he sees Naruto there, and Naruto says, you know, this reminds me of when we first met. And he says, or Kawaki says in response that, I know you're not here to talk about old memories. And Naruto asks Sumire to excuse them to give them the room, and Kawaki immediately says, so you're not going to condemn me for killing Boruto. So Sumire knows that Kawaki killed Boruto. Now she knows. And I'm wondering if maybe she's going to tell the others, and their other classmates are going to figure out what Kawaki did. And I wonder how it's going to basically make them act around him, even though Boruto's alive, even though Boruto is probably going to reveal to them that he asked Kawaki to do it. I'm wondering whether or not they're not going to see him the same way as they used to. And I wonder if maybe that's also going to cause Kawaki to basically sort of leave and betray the village, because it seems like, you know, he already believes that people don't want him there. So if his classmates turn on him, it might motivate him to leave even more than it did before. And then the conversation between them I thought was very interesting, between Naruto and Kawaki, because Naruto tells him that, you know, if it wasn't for you, we all might have died. And this isn't even about Boruto, because Boruto's fine. And I actually am grateful. And to me, the reason why this is interesting is because the way the panels were drawn, how we keep seeing close-ups of Naruto's eyes and Kawaki's eyes, I can't help but get the feeling that maybe Kawaki knows that Naruto is more so trying to convince himself as opposed to trying to convince Kawaki. At least that's what I got from the conversation. Maybe you guys got something different. I just couldn't help but feel that maybe Naruto was just trying to convince himself, telling him that, you know, you belong here, you're my family, everyone in the village is my family, including you. I can't help but get the feeling that maybe Naruto was more so trying to convince himself that he doesn't actually believe it. And that's when he gets contacted by Ino that Code is here and someone else, and he leaves to try to take care of it. And he also, of course, reveals to Kawaki that Borto is alive, and that's when we get a very interesting reaction from Kawaki, because he looks at his karma mark, and then we see a close-up of Kawaki, and his eye, his left eye, is exactly like Jigen's. And I can't help but wonder what Kawaki is thinking. I wonder if maybe he is thinking that maybe Boruto, no, he needs to die because he still believes that Boruto is a threat to Naruto. Because in case you guys forgot, while Momoshiki can resurrect using Boruto's body, he can still take over Boruto's body and basically go on another rampage. So that is still very much possible. All right, so last thing that I want to talk about, and this is, I think, going to be the most important one, because I think that this is what's going to cause a very interesting conversation in the fandom. So there is a conversation between Boruto and Sasuke. Sasuke basically apologizes to Boruto, saying that I wasn't there when you needed me, and it was my responsibility as a teacher to basically take care of anything that happened just in when Momoshiki takes over your body. It was my responsibility to do something about it, and I wasn't there when you needed me. And he says that because of that, Kawaki was forced to take on a painful role, and now the village might hate him. And he says something interesting. He says, the village doesn't need anyone to hate except me. And the reason why I find that interesting is because it's a callback to, or at least it's a bit of a callback to how Sasuke thought before his fight with Naruto at the end of the Naruto manga and at the Valley of the End, because he believed that the world needs someone to hate, because otherwise they're just going to turn on themselves. You know, before they had the Akatsuki, they had Madara, and they had Kaguya, and now that those people are gone, they're just going to go back to hating each other. And that's why he wanted to be the one thing that people hated, so that they would still stay united. And it seems like he still kind of wants that for Konoha, at least. So I found that very interesting. And Boruto says that, you know, people shouldn't hate Kawaki because I asked him to. I asked him to because we're brothers. And Kawaki agreed to help me out because we're brothers. he helped me affirm my resolve. And that's when Sasuke has kind of an interesting reaction, and he says to himself, brothers, huh? And I can't help but wonder if maybe he was thinking about Itachi at that moment. And then Boruto wants to give back the headband, and he says that it helped me affirm my resolve. And Sasuke tells him, then you might as well keep it as a gift if it's that helpful to you. And Boruto, of course, is really excited, and then he puts the headband back on. And Sasuke excuse me, I can talk. Sasuke says something very interesting. He says, I might be the one who has to prove his resolve next. And I just wonder what it is that he meant by that. And I know I've already seen some people online saying that, oh, this is Kishimoto probably setting up that Sasuke's gonna die and that he's probably gonna sacrifice himself or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to see Kishimoto killing him off before the time skip. I like if he was setting up to kill him off after the time skip, if we already were post time skip, then maybe I'd be more inclined to believe you, or believe anyone who says that or who theorizes that Sasuke's going to die. But personally, I don't see it happening now, if I'm being honest. So yeah, those are just kind of my thoughts on that. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think about the chapter? What did you think about everything that happened? Did you like the chapter? Did you hate it? Let me know all that in the comment section down below. And while you're here, consider leaving a like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I hope I see you for my next review. Bye for now.